Welcome to the Be a Human in Business show with your hosts, Tracy Borison, founder and personal branding coach at TLB Coaching and Events, Tara Argo, founder and relationship strategist at Argo Operations, Tawana Taylor, founder and project management consultant at Bootstrap Dreams, Debbie Aquara, founder and principal consultant at Niche Customer Experience Consulting Firm. Let's start the show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a very special episode of the Be a Human in Business show. As you can see, we have so many of our favorite people and we're doing a reunion episode. So we have quite a few of our past guests who are joining us today. And in honor of the US Thanksgiving, which is coming up just after this episode is being released, we wanted to do a gratitude episode. And you might be asking yourself, this is the Be a Human in Business show. What does gratitude have to do with it? And there's so many people in our lives that we're grateful for. And so today we're taking a minute to spend some time with our peeps to talk about that and talk about why it's so important to remember to be grateful for the people in your life when you're talking about business and when you're at work and all of those other things that are related to work. So I want to thank, before we even get started, Jeff, Anita, and Lindsay for joining us today. For some of you, it's very early in the morning, even earlier than it is for me. And I'm just getting waked up. That's not even proper grammar. You can tell I'm not awake yet. We're working on it. It's so good. It's so good to feel the energy in this room. And I really appreciate you guys for joining us today. And big heartfelt hearts. Oh, geez. This is just all the good grammar today. To our lovely Debbie, who can't join us today, who had a last minute business trip. And to all of our other past guests who are in our hearts and minds as we give thanks for this episode. So like any other episodes, we're going to see where it goes, but the main goal here is to reflect and primarily around the people that we've been able to surround ourselves with in the last year and how that's been able to support us on our business journeys. So does anybody want to go first with some giving of thanks?
Go first.
Yeah, Jeff.
So I think I'm really thankful for just the fact that, you surround yourself with a core group of people, like you guys, and people who judge last and understand first. Because when you tell them you're going to do a new business venture, you've got an idea, they don't go, instead they go, oh, tell me more, or that's cool, and they save the judgment or the analytics to later, and they want to hear what you have to say first, and then they go into well, have you thought about this? Or sometimes it's really rough to break into that market, but have you thought about trying it like this or putting a different spin on it? And then they come with the judgment afterwards that is a little less judgy and a little more helpful in a analytical manner. And I think it's really important that you do that, especially when you're trying to be an entrepreneur and jump into different things, because being an entrepreneur is being bold. It's not staying the course. It's not doing things like the norm. It's not following the trends. It's bucking the trends and doing things the other way. And you have to be bold to do that. It's really hard to be bold if you don't have people around you who understand what bold is. And I think, Tracy, I've said this to you before, you can't let we be a hollow word. So when you have people around you and you say we, it really has to mean we. It has to mean all of us. It means sometimes I unconditionally support what my friends and my inner circle and stuff like that are doing. I might not like it or care for it or even believe in it, but that's not the point. The point is, it might not be for me, but it's for them, and it's for a whole nother crowd, and they need to be successful. So you just support it unconditionally. So I'm real thankful for having like-minded people around me that understand what being bold is and what it takes to be bold.
Love it.
Pretty good for 7:30 in the morning, right?
Oh, good. I'm writing notes over here. I'm going to have to remember.
I'm tapped out for the day. That's it. I gave all my knowledge for Friday.
I literally started tearing up. Like I'm
Glad you guys recorded it. I don't know if I can do that again.
Okay.
That was really good.
That was very good.
But what you expressed.
I'm going to cry now, Tawana.
Wow.
Like that hit me so deeply, Jeff. Thinking about, like you said, people who judge last and seek to understand first. Right, and I put the seek in. You specifically said people who judge last and understand first, but I put the seek because there have been times where people, like Tracy said, before we started recording, like they just don't understand. But I am so graced with people who they're like, I really don't know, but what do you need me to do? Like, how can I support you? Like, I have no clue what that means. Like they will get in the DM. What is WFA? And I'm like, oh, that means work from anywhere, and they're like, I like it, but they don't, right? And there's a gift. There is a gift in being able to live out, your life, not for self-righteous reasons, not to be like, oh, look at me, like not this self-made crap, but to really be like, oh, this is what I'm doing right now. I know, it's okay. You don't get it. That's fine. But I thank you for being here anyway. Like, thank you for wanting, thank you for just showing up. Thank you for prompting me when I don't even know what to ask for. Like, in the world that we're living in right now, where we have been forced into isolation, some of us have had experiences with isolation. So we're like, welcome, world. Welcome, right? Yes, deal with self sometimes. Set yourself aside and apart and feel that thing so that you can address it, and hopefully in a way that best serves you. But like that, just being able to be like, yeah, I have that, right? Or there are others that like we have something that is so wealthy. It's so life enriching. And it just was like, how blessed.
Well, we live in a world that is so, especially here in the United States, that is so, you almost have to pick a side. Politics has divided us so much that we've forgotten how to be people. And we've forgotten that just because somebody lives their life differently or they choose to do things differently doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that we have to, dislike each other or things like that. If anything, a smarter person surrounds themselves with very diverse people with very diverse opinions, because that it doesn't have to influence you, but it can mold you and help you stay your true course. Because a lot of people don't see that when you take off on a course and you surround yourself with only individuals who think exactly like you, that straight starts to curve. It'll start to curve to the side that you are thinking on. And if you want to stay on the straight and narrow, you have to have something from both sides to keep you in balance when you start to waver to one side or the other. And somebody said it to me yesterday. It's like your mental state is right here. Sometimes you go above the line. Sometimes you go below the line. Tracy's having a rough morning. She was dipping below the line a little bit. She needs somebody to help bring her up to the line and to help push her back over. But we rarely stay like this. You go up and you go down. You need something on both sides to help you stay balanced. And I think we've forgotten that. And as people, we need people around us, and you don't need to judge people. You just need to have them and let them do their thing in your life. And some people will come in and some people will leave, and that's fine. But it helps you stay right here.
Yeah.
I want to say something, Jeff. I say this often. It's about sitting at the table with people that are not like you. And I could not agree more with you about how important that is, because I really like how you said, like, we need people on both sides to keep us kind of balanced. And that really is the truth. And, I tell people too, I'm like, you don't have to agree with them, right? But you have to be able to be respectful enough that you can sit at the table with somebody that's just different than you. There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make one better than the other. But that's the problem in the world today, right? Like people cannot sit together to solve the world's problems or anything for that matter. So it brings tears to my eyes because that's what I'm trying to preach is like people, it's not that difficult. It
It's
really
not.
isn't. Just
It really
fall in
isn't.
love with discovering people and you don't have to understand everything that they are or do or anything, right? But you can sit there and be a compassionate individual and be kind and listen and love. That's all it takes, right?
Mhm.
I like to tell a lot of the people that I encounter, a lot of the leaders that I talk to is, sometimes you need to shut up and listen with your ears and not with your mouth.
Mhm.
You really do, because you can sit at the table and you can talk all day long and it's not going to matter at all. But if you sit there and you shut your mouth and you listen with your ears and you let both sides of the table talk, you don't know what you're going to come up with. It could be the next breaking thing. It could change the world. You're not going to know. But if you're too busy talking, you're not going to listen. And if you're not listening, you're not hearing the truth. You're not hearing the real things that are going on. You're not hearing the diversity that's at the table. And a lot of people think, oh, I got to hire people. I got to have people in my team that are exactly like me. You're destined for failure.
Absolutely.
I want to pick up on
Yes.
something else you said, Jeff. You were talking about being grateful for people who, will judge last and listen first. And you didn't say this, but for me, what kind of just sparked in my heart, it's like, yeah, and people who are going to be optimistic. We've got so much focus on just problems and what's wrong and what's wrong. So I'm grateful for having people like you all and others, some in my entrepreneurial circle, some in my private life, who may not be optimists, but they're willing to be optimistic. I mean, not only do we have people raining on parades left and right, most people won't even let the parade get started. So I'm grateful, so grateful to have more people that I can count, which shocks me, who are in the category of optimists. It's like, this is crazy. I don't get it. You want to do what? Or you're sharing what? Let's talk about it. And that is such a gift because I think it connects a little bit to what we're saying about shutting people down and picking sides. Right now, so many people are fearful and they're not optimistic. And you can say, well, it's a pipe dream. I don't know. I mean, part of what entrepreneurs do is solve problems. And some of that requires optimism and faith, even when you don't have the answer. So I'm so very grateful to have more people in my life at this time this year who are like that and who will encourage that in me than I had at this time in my life last year.
That sounds.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Lindsay.
I'm just soaking it all in. Gratitude has played a huge role in my world in being able to help me move forward. Every day I do a gratitude journal. Every day there's people in that gratitude journal. It is absolutely the energies with who we surround with that will make or break us, that will continue to lift us and push us further. And that the only thing I know to be true is we cannot do this life. We cannot do entrepreneurship. We just can't do anything without people in our world. And so what's important is to be very grateful for those who, absolutely are your energies and lift you and encourage you. And even if they don't understand you, and to be grateful for those who don't. Because they remind you to really dig into who you are and to go to your real community of, how do I go further? it would be so much easier to go back to this old energy, this old world. This is who I may have been. But when you step into a new world with the community that lifts, that listens, the listening piece, Jeff, oh, so gosh darn true. Like that is one of the most powerful things. And if we don't have the right community around us who will listen, I'm not sure what's going on with this, but if we don't have the right community around us who will listen, then we can't do this. We can't. And what I think a lot of us often forget is if we are just starting out on our own gratitude journey, because a lot of people just don't know the power of gratitude and how can it change your mind, literally go into your brain and rewire your brain, is that it takes a while. I know when I restarted my own gratitude journal back in 2019, I was in a dark place. And I knew that that was one thing I could do to really purposely focus on how am I going to pull myself forward. And it wasn't until November of that year that I really started to notice, holy, there's a full shift in my mind. And it took that 11 months of just gratitude journaling every night, of thinking of the who, the what am I grateful for, and the why. And that's the key piece as well, is we can always just jot down, what are we grateful for? Bloop, 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 bloop. But it's that why behind it that has that full on power. And that changes your whole mind. And even if you're not wanting to be optimistic, because for some individuals, it's very hard to be optimistic right now, but it allows people to pull themselves to a neutral space. And when we can at least get to a neutral space, that helps us from falling back. And so it's just this, we keep going forward, and without the gratitude behind it, without the right people, we won't be able to do life the way that it's supposed to be. Because plain and simple, life is poop. I'm sorry, but it is. Life is just big old poop. So we have to be able to surround ourselves with those who will be with us in the poop and lift us through the poop and then be there after it. And I think that's one of the things too, is some people, some energies thrive in the poop and they want you to be in that. What is so amazing about this past year in particular for me is the individuals who are like, you're in the poop? Okay, that's okay. And now you're not? Oh, that's even better. And I'm still here because I didn't need you in there. But some energies do. And so it's really important to understand who are those energies that will be with you through all of it and cheer for you at every single level. And that's finding the communities that, you know, will be there through it all.
Yeah. I tossed something in the chat. Of course, those of you who are watching can't see, but as Lindsay started speaking about the poop, it like this little thing came up, right? It's like those of it, if you've done any type of gardening or right, think about, and there are some environments where you use manure as fertilizer. See it, Jeff, right? As fertilizer. And while manure in and of itself, poop, right, is toxic in some environments, right? Like if it remains in the body, it can kill you if it's not excreted, right? But if we put the elements so that are in the poop and the environments that we put in poop in other environments, they help us grow food. They help us grow beautiful flowers. They help us, right? They help create the different things that put all the stuff in the air that help us breathe. And like just this whole ecosystem can come from poop. So like, if we look at our lives and it's like, okay, acknowledge the crap in it, because it is not without hardship. It is not without grief. It is not without disappointment. It is not, life is not without. There is a lot in life, but the elements that our lives consist of can change how it functions, can change how we function, can change the purpose and the use of the life that we get. to have, and we get to live, and that we get to lead. Like, it's so easy to say, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. You really don't. You can choose not to do any of those things. Now, we're not saying there won't be consequences or there won't be rewards, but you can literally choose to not do anything you feel like you have to do, and strive to shift to say, well, I get to do this today. Like, I get to get up and be on call with these amazing people today. I get to go to my daughter's school. I get to get in my car and, right, someone else would take your poop hands down any day over the poop they're dealing with and stepping in right now. And it's not about comparison. It's, to me, if I can put an adjective and say, it's simply about looking at what you have to work with and being grateful for that, so you can amplify what's in your hand, so you can amplify the impact that you can make, amplify that which only you're required of. No one else. You're not here to take on anybody else's gift, role, position, responsibility, just yours. What is it that you have, that you can do, that you get to do, that someone else is like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. Oh my gosh, had you not, I would not have been able to, right? It's about life, for me, has become about what is that transformation that I can help someone achieve that they otherwise would not have on their own. That's what entrepreneurship is for me. That's what aiming to be the best daughter, mother, sister, friend, cousin, and all the other hats that we get to wear. What is it that I can be? Where can I show up and just bring an element of who I am, that when I leave, that person is like, man, I'm glad she came. Even if it's a ruffle of feathers, right? I made a post recently. I said, man, I'm so grateful for mentors and coaches and friends that won't just agree with me. I'm so glad that I have people in life that love themselves enough. Forget about me first. They love themselves and respect themselves enough first to stand on what they believe is true enough to say, well, Tawana, I hear you, but I want to push you on that. I think that's the easy way out. Can you take that a little further? Because I know you're capable. Can you and I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. You're right. You're right. I can go a little harder with that. You're right. I can show up stronger. I can be more clear. I can, thank you for showing me my dis-ease with what's required of me. Thank you for pushing me past my point of comfort so that I can be the best possible version of whatever that needs, right? There's just a gift. There's just a gift in doing life in community. Tracy, what you got?
Yeah, it's just making me think that there are people that you surround yourself with who see a better version of you than you see.
Yes.
And so there's like, and sometimes you're like, what? You think I can do that? Okay. And like having those people around you is just like, it continually pushes you, but it also pushes you in the right direction, like the you-ness
in
direction.
The well way. Yeah.
Right. Like it's not about someone looking at me and seeing, oh, you could be that. Well, yeah, I could be that, but like with no interest in being that. Versus like when you're experiencing imposter syndrome or overwhelm or any of those things, it's someone who is just like, well, you're totally going to do this, right? Like I have no question that you're going to be successful at doing this. And you're like, oh, really? Oh, well, now I'm a little more convinced that I can do it myself.
Right.
And that's just a beautiful thing, because until you have that, I don't think we really understand the value of it. And when you're going through the poop, you look at yourself in the mirror and you look like you're covered in poop. And you're like, well, that's not the best version of me. I'm not seeing the best version of me right now. And there's people who see the clean, shiny version of you, even though right now you're covered in the poop. And it just is, those people exist in your personal life, and those people exist in our business life. And I know that in like my corporate life, I would say that wasn't celebrated. It wasn't, people didn't talk about it, right? And so we're talking about it right now, and I would encourage people to, we're entrepreneurs, right? So we have our specific perspective, and entrepreneurs have a unique capability of being able to curate their environment full of the right people. And when you're at a corporate working environment, someone else is curating the people in your network. And we each have the ability to see the best in other people and to remind them of their best when they're covered in poop. And it's a beautiful gift to be able to give that to another human. And I consider myself super lucky, because everybody who is here today, and we had to say goodbye to Jeff because of another time commitment, but all of the people who have been here as guests, so many of the people for me in the Your Business Peeps community, these are the people that when I am just like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. What did I get myself into? They're just like, you're killing it, right? Like, I see you and you're killing it. And to me, maybe I'm not, but to have people who can continually remind you that you can show up at that level is just invaluable. And I am totally grateful for all of you guys for being part of that for me.
Yes.
Yeah, Tracy, I love that. And what you and Tawana said just really brought up something that I'm grateful for, but I didn't have words for until I heard both of you say this. And it's the power of perspective and the power of potential. And so much of that is unlocked through the people. So I guess it's like a triple gratitude shout out, like P cubed, if you will, power, potential, and people, to have those around you, like you said, Tracy, who see your potential, and all of us, like I mentioned before, we're not teenagers, we're not 20 something. So it might say your potential, you're at a certain point. I'm not past my potential. I'm discovering it. For some of us, I was reflecting on this the other day. I think some people are kind of born knowing who they are and what they want to do. Others go through a traumatic or significant event that makes it clear. And others, like me, I'm a slow cooker recipe. It's taken, 4 decades plus to pull all the ingredients together and to make this thing like, this is really what you're supposed to do and who you are. So I'm so grateful for people who will speak into us, our potential, remind us, and then that perspective, that power of perspective, that power of potential. What Tawana was saying, sometimes it's a different point of view. Sometimes it's, today you're in the poop, but you're around people who have the perspective for those days when you're not. And I'm so very grateful for that, because in addition to what it gives me, it's allowed me to view others differently. And I'm able to give them a bigger gift. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe said, the way you treat people, the way you see people is the way you will treat them. And the way you treat them is what they become. So I guess I'll wrap up what I'm saying by being so grateful for so many people who see me and help me become better so that I can see others and give them that gift.
Man.
That's so good.
That
And
is
I wanted to
beautiful.
share a quick story to relate that. So I did this personal development program called the Landmark Forum. And one of the things that they talk about in it is the stories we create that we project on other people that become reality for the other people. And I remember listening to that piece and thinking about my youngest sister, who I'm going to cry now, and how the youngest is irresponsible and always like the baby, right? And this is like, a lot of them are societal narratives, but it became so clear how by us believing that and treating her like that, she became that. And then she became anxious about being that, right? And I remember calling her after the session, I was like downtown Calgary, standing outside just on the street downtown, having this conversation, like crying my eyes out. She's crying on the other end of the phone, and me promising that I would never do that again. I will not treat her like that. And we have, when we can see those things, we have the ability to change how we behave. And so if you are doing that for anybody in your life right now, or anybody at work right now, and you're saying, well, that person's just always late on their deliverables, like they're just late, they're lazy, right? Like they feel that and they become that, and they're not that, right? It's the difference of looking at people and an action that they take. Tara, this reminds me about what you were saying earlier about sitting at the table. People take actions that are not related to who they are. People make bad decisions. They show up grumpy and cryy some days, right? Like that's not who they are. That's what's going on right now. And when we can separate those things from who we are as humans for ourselves, too, being like, well, that's not who I am. Yeah, crap, I lost my wallet again, right? But like, I'm not that. I'm not irresponsible. I'm responsible in so many other ways. And when we, like I said earlier, we have this ability to shine the light on people instead of creating darkness. And when we use our power for good to create that light, then everything is just much more light, and every person gets to be more sparkly.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Tara, looks like you want to share something.
Well, all of this is so good. I'm over here tearing up too, because you guys know I cry if I see you guys crying, because I literally, like, I feel it in me. No, I wanted to say something that was really big for me this year too, is that, and Debbie, our beautiful Debbie, said this during one of our episodes, that you are only as human as your experience.
Oh, yes.
And that has always, and that's another sitting at the table, right? Like for me, it's really been a lot about holding the space to let people just be themselves and go through their experience, because each
that was going to be so good.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, right? As we really hope her connection joins us again, but she definitely brought another present reminder from Debbie that earlier in the year, you are only as human as your experiences, which is why it's so important that we do listen with our ears, right? Spoiler alert. We use our ears to listen and not our mouths. Oh yes, Tara, we're so hoping you came back because we need an increased perspective, right? Mm-hmm. So Tara, please finish what you were saying.
I'm sorry, guys. For some reason, I lost connection. No, and what I was thinking is that for me, like I don't have the answer. I mean, it literally is just about listening and letting them move through that, right? Like I don't need to be the one that says I have it all. Now, if I'm letting them live in that space and have the ability to share their experience with me, and then they're looking for a specific connection or something, and I'm happy to do that. But it's really not about that. It's literally about sharing that space and allowing them to just live in that experience. And truly, I know that even for myself, I was dealing with some issues recently, and I had never been through this. And now I have a whole different perspective on this issue. And you want to talk about fired up? I was fired up. And I was like, you know what? I will get to the top and I will figure out what's going on in this space. But it was just nothing. It's not been part of my experience in life. So I had no idea. And so I just really encourage people to, when you're sitting at the table or when you're meeting people, literally just hold that space for them. Right? Let them be the humans that they are, and just know that they are only as human as their experience is. So some people maybe don't have as much experience as you in several different things. But that doesn't mean we can't sit and listen. Sorry, I digress. I get excited about that.
That's good.
Wow. There's one moment in my life that completely changed how I started to accept compliments. And it was, I had discovered I was receiving an award. I told the group I was a part of at that time, that I was receiving it, and they congratulated me. And then I was like, oh no, it's not a big deal. And one of the women, and I'm forever grateful for her, because she said, Lindsay, you're being very rude right now. And I was like, okay, right. And she's just like, because I'm saying, this is how I see you. Yeah, you deserve this. You are amazing, right? And it was that moment of, when people do celebrate us, we have a responsibility of not shunning what they're celebrating, because they see something that we clearly don't see. And it was this moment of, oh, because I always did, like, when I congratulate somebody else and they're like, oh, it's not big, like, it kind of does hurt. Like, oh, so my opinion of you doesn't matter, is basically what we're saying then. So when people celebrate us and see us, it's that they celebrate us and see us. And that was just this mind shift of, holy golly gosh, what am I doing? You know, someone nominated me, I received the award, and now these women, and who am I now to say, oh no, like it was probably a fluke. No, it wasn't, right? And so it's that moment of, there are people who see us, people who want to celebrate us, people who listen and will always listen to us. Those are the people that we cannot say, no, it's not that big a deal. And I wrote her a thank you note after, being like, that has forever changed me, because accepting praise was something I was never overly comfortable with. I'm still not, but if someone's going out of their way to give that praise, it's because they see us. And we often don't see ourselves. So maybe it's time for us to just sort of sit and be quiet and think, well, why would they say that? What about me is actually pretty awesome? And often it's the people we surround ourselves with, because they bring us to that higher level of who we really are. And then we can start to be more of that and live in that more and step forward even farther. And it was just this beautiful, beautiful moment of being put in my place. And I'm forever grateful for it.
I love that, Lindsay. And I just want to say another thing I'm grateful for. I'm kind of in your space, Tawana, where I could just go on and on and on. But I am so grateful for that we're not done growing and learning, right, about ourselves and seeing how in the process that helps us impact others. So that's all I want to say. I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for the people that help us grow and learn. It's so cool. Like, you never get old and you're never done when we have this. It's really amazing.
It is so amazing. Oh my goodness.
So true. And one of the things that came up for me, Lindsay, when you were sharing, is that we have amazing people around us who see us. And if we don't let ourselves be seen, everything I heard in your story was about me protecting myself from being seen, right? Mm-hmm. Someone else is seeing me. I don't want to be seen. And there's work we have to do individually to be able to appreciate those resources. And it comes back to exactly what we're talking about today, about finding those things to be grateful for and being able to get those new perspectives. Sunita said it, right? Like, oh, I am like not letting myself be seen, and people are trying to see me, and we all have this innate desire to be seen, and I'm blocking that from happening. So the easiest thing I can do is say thank you when someone gives me credit for something that I did. And it's one of the things, actually, like, one of the things that Dale Carnegie speaks a lot about is just this accepting appreciation, because one of his core golden principles is to show appreciation. But if we can't accept appreciation, then we don't get to tap into all of that greatness that is the people around us. So it's so important to be able to practice letting down our walls and saying, like, oh, maybe there is something more to me that I don't see. And these people aren't just crazy. They're seeing something in me that I have yet to see. And how can I continue to grow and change and learn so that I can see that about myself as well?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is so good.
Well, I'm feeling the gratitude. I don't know about you guys. It's just like,
yeah, it's like that quiet. It's, you know, that moment you just kind of want to bask in it, right? It's like you just want to soak it all in. I
It
don't know if
feels
there's,
so good.
yeah, I don't know if there's like anything more to say. You know, we're definitely going to summarize it, right? We're going to make sure that we share the summary, but it's like you just want to just bottle it up and just like, yeah, like this, if this were gratitude, this is how I feel right now.
you know, I kind of wish we all had one of those. So,
Like, this is exactly how this call feels right now, this conversation, because everything, I mean, there's so many things that we could rant about. And there's so many, you know, slippery slopes that we could choose to go down, yet everyone came to the call. No, again, despite what, because we all have something going on, right? No one is without something going on, yet everyone, like that bar Jeff talked about, was able to say, yep, this is what's happening. But this is what I'm acknowledging to be true, right? This is what's happening, but this is what I'm still acknowledging to be true. And I just thank you. So beautiful and so enriching. And it's just, I hope this today's conversation is a demonstration, a wake up, right? A reflection for someone to realize that you do have a lot going on and you do have a lot to be grateful for. And so if we can do the summary, man, and this is hard. This is hard to like, just bring it down. But here we go. So the word we can't be a hollow word. Encircle yourself with people who help you mold and stay your true course. Be willing to be optimistic. The power of gratitude really can transform your mind. Life is poop. Curate the environment that's needed to fertilize the life you get to have and the purpose you are appointed to serve. P-Cubit, I love that, Savita. The power of perspective, potential, and people. Don't forsake it. And remember, we are only as human as our experiences. Hold space, keep growing, and learning.
Oh, so good. And I just want to call it one other thing well, unless Tara, you want to share what you're chatting on the side here.
No, I was just thinking that today was so good that I could just see, like, even if you surround yourself, you get your little community together, hop on a quick call like this, spend an hour just in gratitude, reflecting throughout the year. I mean, this was so good for my soul. I want to do it again, right? Like, and we need it. We don't have to wait till Thanksgiving to talk about all that we're grateful for. So I don't know, this was just really eye-opening for me as well. And so I'm going to propose that we do it again in the future.
I totally agree with that. And one of the things that I think adds an additional level of value, and journaling and things like that are great. And when you have that different perspective, like I get to listen to what Sunita is grateful for and then find new things that I'm grateful for because I wasn't looking at things that way. And this is, again, goes into Tara's conversation about sitting at the table and listening and being like, wow, yeah, that is awesome. And how do I see that living out in my life? And now all of a sudden I have a whole package of new things that I'm grateful for that makes it easier for me to practice my gratitude practice, right? So your people, well, we're here at the Be a Human in Business show. We're all about people. Haven't figured that one out yet. It was so lovely to have you all here today. Big hearts and kisses out to our Debbie and all of our past guests who couldn't join us today. Maybe we'll get them back on another gratitude episode because this now might be a quarterly thing, I'm feeling.
Yes.
So it's so awesome. Thank you guys. And remember, until next time, be a human.
Be a human.
Human.